Welcome to Security with Spirits. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm joined at the bar by
Ben,
Jonathan,
and Tony. We'll tell you what to drink while we tell you about why we drink.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. So tonight, I am drinking what's it called? It's another homebrew special. It's a peach ember rum. Is that what it is?
yeah, it's a rum.
Yeah. So it's really good. Very peachy. It's very smoky. And the one thing that, because my wife and I both like kind of sniffed of it, tasted it, all that kind of stuff. There's another spice that was there. Of course, my wife just like got it right off. She was like, "Oh, it's cinnamon." I was like, "No, it's not cinnamon. It's something. It's more complex." And yeah, it's cinnamon. So, but it's really,
it's
really
like
good.
that cereal I really like with the toast that's crunchy.
By the way, I have to plug Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows. Oh man, that made my weekend. Like nothing better than Saturday morning like cartoon. You have to watch. Like I have to find my cartoons now because kids these days they don't have cartoons playing in the morning like I did. But yeah, Saturday morning cartoon and a bowl of cereal and that stuff. Oh, so good, so good. So Ben, what you drinking?
So I've been working on cleaning up some stuff around the house. More on that later. And I found a can of Butler's Irish whiskey truffles. And I've just been kind of mowing on those.
Wow.
You're getting truffle drunk?
Yeah. And I've got about 5 down now. I think that's about, I don't know, maybe like a finger of whiskey so far. So we'll see where it ends.
Which kicks in first, the alcohol or the sugar?
Yeah, right. That's the fault of it. Is I'm starting to feel that little sugar jitteriness.
Chase it with some real whiskey.
This is
calm
gonna
the
be
nerves a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of forgot what I was doing there. What are you drinking, Jonathan?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I had different truffles. A friend left me a bottle of Nika Taketsuru pure malt Japanese whiskey. And it's super smoky like a scotch, but it's still very smooth. But I'm trying to finish that up so that way the bottle can just be set to the side. Tony, what do you got cooking?
Wait, what did you call it again? Was that nicotine Subaru? What was it?
I could be a few fingers deep on this, but according to this label, Nika Taketsuru pure malt.
I haven't gotten any Japanese whiskeys yet. I need to try to visit that. I've heard they're
There's some good ones.
kind of all over the place, but all good. So,
Tony, what do you got?
I have nothing that sophisticated. I've gone the other direction. I am having a SoCo and Co. So Southern Comfort and a cola.
wow.
Yeah, it's when the temperature starts rising and the sun's coming out, it's like a summery kind of drink. Put a little lime juice in there. I'm dreaming of beach days.
Yeah, I thought I was the only one that liked SoCo, so that's pretty cool.
It's a very particular craving. Yeah.
I was hoping when he said he went the other way, he's like, I just got a bottle of absinthe. we're going balls deep on this.
I just mix some gasoline with apple juice and yeah. Don't try that at home. Not that our audience is that dumb to do that. I don't think we have the same audience as Jackass, so we don't have to put out any disclaimers. But also, I don't want to be sued, so I would want to really avoid the what?
Nobody listens to us anyways, right?
Right now, we're just shouting into the interwebs. So, but yeah, I just wanted to avoid that disaster of a lawsuit. Speaking of segues, tonight's episode, we're going to discuss disasters. Since there's disasters happening all over us, like we got tornadoes, we got flooding, we got government, we got all sorts of disasters everywhere. So we wanted to take a step back a little bit from disasters at work. I know that's one of the things that, you know, we tend to focus on, but let's bring the disasters to the comfort of the home. So we're going to discuss some of the disasters we've experienced, some of the life lessons we've gained from it, some of our behaviors that have changed because of it. So you're getting maybe a 4-story episode. We'll see what happens. We've got 2 of them queued up, so we're going to roll with it. Who wants to start their story first?
Well, I have a little bit of some experience with some disasters. There was a place I worked that had 2 separate data centers, and one day I was walking over and saw a bunch of smoke pouring out the door. I realized the fire department was called, and they went and take a look, and it turned out the UPS had caught fire. And while originally the 2 data center setup was designed to have one run and then fail over to the other, not sticking to that principle as things grew and we ended up with more systems and more things having to come online, they became imbalanced, so to speak. And so the idea was like, oh, okay, let's fail over to the other. It's like, we can't. There's stuff that only runs in there. Why is that? Because we didn't have money to buy resources for both, so we just bought resources for one and put it in there. So that's one of the things about a disaster situation, it really puts in the light, oh yeah, I really should have been taking care of that. Everyone loves to have redundancy, but no one likes paying for redundancy.
Well, paying for it and the upkeep. I mean, you have to put effort into it. It's not I feel like I've been saying this a lot of places recently, but it's not it's a huge investment, and it's not a destination. It's a journey. Like, you're always going to be chasing, like, let's make sure we've invested properly. Let's make sure we've, not just like for hardware and such, but for people to get things set up correctly and to test it. And now you've got, you've got additional testing scenarios that you have to do. And yeah, it's a huge investment. Keeping up with that, and especially in IT, it's so fast paced. It's really easy to lose sight of that.
Yeah, I realized real quickly that you can't just go to people and say, hey, if we do this, we'll have, we can offer you full redundancy and, on the cheap. We can offer you full redundancy if you just spend the money this one time, that kind of thing. Like, you really have to get people to understand, like, there's going to be times, if you don't want to pay for it, that you are going to be without something. And you really have to decide what can you live without, or develop your practices like to what you work when you don't have something available. And that always seems to come down to that they don't want to do that, so they just everyone ends up in these positions, like it's that work transference type thing.
And I think that's one of the reasons why the appeal of cloud is so great, is because once you factor in, you have to have 2 data centers, and you have to have 2 SANs, and you have to have 2, your VXLANs, and your all that stuff and all the configuration. It just makes it easier to just be like, look, cloud has the resources, they can fail over if they need to. Also, though, cloud oversells themselves, just like ISPs back in the day when, or I guess they still do, that if everybody maxed out their internet connection, then there's going to be people without internet. It's the same scenario with the cloud. If there's like a big major disaster, there's going to be people who are going to be without. And you better believe the small businesses and stuff are going to be pushed aside, as the big Fortune 500 companies they're going to be up and online. Not great, but they'll be up and online. And yeah.
Well, I don't know. The cloud services are sort of indiscriminate in their outages. When any of them go offline, it's everybody's offline. It's kind of worse in that scenario.
Yeah, that's one thing with cloud that I've noticed, the more and more it gets adopted, is you can have an outage in one area. You're like, oh, okay, so this Acme.site is down. Then you find out, oh wait, Acme 2 site is also down. Acme 3 site is also down. They all just kind of tumble because they all house in the same data centers without the same kind of problems, where they only pay for footage in one, and they hope that the company they're rooting from can keep them up.
Yeah, true.
We've just shifted our single point of failure upwards.
Yeah, we just made it not our responsibility. So whenever it does go down, be like, that cloud vendor, Acme cloud vendor, they suck. Well, I'm taking the day off. Tell me whenever it's back online.
And since there are, basically 3 or 4 Acme cloud vendors, you're going to choose one of them. And, it's like the old days. Nobody ever got fired for choosing IBM. If everybody is using Acme, well, all right, so the whole West Coast is down. Well, everybody else is too. No big deal, right? We're all in this together.
Yeah, and then it still comes down to, all right, start your downtime routines. Or downtime what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just shifted right back to work.
Right.
We have home experiences that we want to share.
Well, I do like to toot my own horn, so to speak, that I tend not to make the same mistake twice. I have lived in an area with pretty wet weather and pretty leaky basements, so to speak. And I remember this was early on. I had a basement and I had a lot of my stuff stored down in it. And we had some crazy rain that ended up flooding into our basement. And I had some stuff, particularly like, everything is just kind of stuff, but there was included in this is stuff that's not replaceable, like, old photos and things like that, or like kids stuff and all that. And so that was a tough lesson to learn. And I bring this up because recently we also had another bout of really wet weather, and I'm in a house again with a basement. We have stuff stored in there, but using the lessons learned from the first time, we have everything either in plastic or up on something, a few inches off the ground at least. And while the only thing that really took the brunt of the damage was the carpet that was in one of the rooms, everything else was safe. And so that's a concept of the whole lessons learned during outages or breaches, cyber attack breaches, or cyber attack events and things like that. Don't skip out on those meetings. Don't skip out on getting together after all is said and done, and don't stretch out or turn your brain off for a little bit. Like, actually take the time to get together and discuss what you learned and what things you could do better, and like what areas you need to avoid. Like getting those yearly penetration tests on your system. There's actual valuable stuff in there. Don't just get to where you see it and not think about it or whatever. Like, that's a very good growing experience, because it's better to learn in the fake event than it is in the real event.
I love how you pointed that out, Ben, because it's easy when you're over that hump to just be like, yeah, it's over, it's okay, we got it back together, and not grow from it, not benefit from the experience. Maybe not the experience, but the suffering from the experience.
Yeah, as a contrast to Ben's story, when I was like a 20-something in one of my first apartments, it was a basement apartment, and it would flood, maybe once a year when there was a real bad rain, and I never adjusted anything. It was just a thing that you dealt with occasionally. And, as you mature, you learn to deal with these things instead of just accepting them.
Well, I know Ben was talking about the tabletop exercises and such, and one of the things that I came to appreciate over the years is you go in with an idea of how the tabletop exercise is going to go, but really enjoy the wild cards that are there. There are going to be people with different viewpoints and everything that are going to bring a little bit of chaos to it, and that's exactly what you want, because that's the safe place where that can happen. And that kind of ties into my disaster. So same, flooding was a big thing where I lived, and we moved into a new house, and I was like, I kind of looked around the neighborhood. I talked to, my neighbors and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we definitely get flooding in here, and it can be bad. And we were not totally downhill, but we were lower down on the hill. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna let this happen. I'm a smart guy. I can go out, I can build retaining walls, and I can reroute the water, and I'm good. And I spent a small fortune and a lot of my time and a lot of fun toys with like backhoe diggers and stuff like that. And and got to go out and build like this big massive retaining wall. It was amazing. First big rain hit, sure enough, flooding started, and wife and I were in the living room watching TV, and she's like, do we need to check on anything? And I was like, nope. I was like, I got it. And more flooding. We heard the alerts go off and everything. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, I'm sure, we're good. We went outside and checked. It was doing what it's supposed to do. All the water was rerouting, going down to, sorry neighbors, it was our neighbor's problem, and we were good. I was like, see, showed you, I know what I'm talking about. She's like, wow, all right. So snuggled back up on the couch, all safe and sound, started watching our movie again. And I kid you not, the movie that we were watching, there's a scene where somebody was trapped at like in a well, and the bad guy put him in a well, and the water, and they were filling up with water, and they were going to drown him or something like that. And I had also, around that same time, put in a new surround sound system. So we're watching this, and it's like, it's, real nail biter. We're like on the edge of our seats, and my wife's like, I love the surround sound. It sounds like the water is actually here with us. And then I look over my shoulder, and I was like, because water's actually here with us. And it's, it was coming out of the vents in the ceiling. I was like, oh no. So I went and crawled up in the attic real quick, and sure enough, like some shingles had blown away, and there was like water rushing in there. So I was babysitter for, a couple hours. We were bucket brigade and like trying to get water out and dry everything off and everything. So moral of the story of that one is, like, don't just think that it's going to happen one way. There are many different ways that a disaster can happen, and you can't prepare for all of them, but just don't be shocked. Don't kick yourself too bad when you're like, I prepared and then this happened. That's just the nature of a disaster.
Wild card, bitches.
That's right.
So I don't have a flooding story, even though our area recently suffered a major flood. I was lucky enough to be in an area that wasn't, but as a kid, I remember coming home early on a snow day and coming home and seeing a huge tree right through the house.
Oh, geez.
And that was the first time I was like, as a kid, remember, I don't feel safe at home. And that was a weird feeling. And it wasn't a big deal. After Dad got home, tree got cut, pulled off and everything, and then they replaced the roof. And it was interesting because I got to see all the construction of the roof being redone and everything. And to me, that was interesting. But ever since that, everywhere I lived, even houses I would be looking at to buy, I remember I would always check the trees like, where do I have big trees? Would those have to come down? Are they old? And that was just something I always become super mindful of, was just the objects around a house.
I didn't have a disaster like that, but I'm that way. Like if there are big trees next to the house, that they got to go.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the severe weather we've had recently around here, and my parents' house got hit with a tree and took out their power like significantly. They were without power for almost a full week, and they weren't as prepared as they could have been. And this is a sort of a turning point in my life. I was able to help them by taking them, power supplies, water, because I had all of those things prepared. And it was kind of funny to me, that juxtaposition of, these are the people that I had always looked to in a time of disaster, and I was able to return the favor finally as an adult.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into another thought about, you're talking about not feeling safe in your own home, and and linking to the idea of relying more on cloud services and such.
Are you moving to the cloud?
If you've ever had something like a tree next to the house that, say, broke your water main to your house or something, and it's one of those situations that unless you have your own backhoe to dig it up and all the materials and all that to try to fix it yourself, kind of thing, you're left at that mercy of the vendor, so to speak, and that's a pretty helpless feeling. It's like when you're ultimately like, well, there's nothing I can do about this. I just have to wait. And so that's something that I don't know if enough people appreciate whenever they decide to farm everything out to third parties.
That's a big thing. Like, risk transference is huge. Of like, well, insurance company can deal with this or whatever. And like, even we actually just got, so whenever I first moved to Florida, a friend of mine was in the neighborhood and he called me up one morning and he was like, you got to help me out. And, I'm do-it-yourselfer. I got tons of tools and all that kind of stuff. And like, yeah. Went over to his house. He was, like I said, in the same neighborhood and everything. Went over there and checked to see. And I don't know what happened, but like a pipe ruptured or something right after the water meter, and water was just spraying everywhere. And I was like, I don't know what to do here. Like, you don't have a shutoff valve in the house to cut it off, at least at that point. I was like, and it's past the shutoff valve from the city. I was like, you're gonna have to call somebody. I was like, I don't, and that helplessness sucks. But now we actually recently, and this is like, that event happened almost 7 years ago, and we just recently got something from our water utility company that they'll cover us in case something like that happens, like a one-time event or something that happens, and you lose a big water, instead of paying for the big water bill or whatever, that you just pay like I don't know what it is, but it reduces it a little bit. But yeah, that helplessness, and then just being like, I'm gonna have to rely on somebody else. Like, it sucks, but it's just the way it is sometimes.
Yeah, especially when you're just a very self-sufficient person and you're like, I can do that. And that's somebody, I don't know, you've cracked me up, Jason, because I'm thinking about all of the tools that you potentially have.
You go over there with a big truckload of tools, and he's like, can you fix it? And I was like, yeah, I need a piece of stale bread, some barbed wire, and some duct tape. Will that fix it? No, you're screwed, man. Like,
make me a sandwich.
Yeah. Might as well, like, this day is ruined. Might as well crack open a beer and wait for somebody else to fix it. Speaking of kind of along those lines, we had some work done on the house recently, and it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then whenever I started looking at it, I was like, this is going to take me, like, I'm going to have to take time off from work for me to, it's a big job. I was like, let's just bid it out and see. And the people came in with, like, seriously almost the same price that I could have done it myself with all the supplies, but then my time, and I'm like, no, in this case, it's better to have somebody else do it. But they came in, they did their work, and I was out after they left. I went out and checked it out, and they did great work and everything. But one of them left their cell phone out on the back lanai, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess they'll call. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I'll just bring the cell phone inside so it's safe, and maybe they'll come back by and pick it up or whatever. This was at like 3:00 in the afternoon. About 8:00 that night, something like that. Somebody else called me and they're like, hey, one of the guys on the site, they left their phone over there. And I was like, yeah, I found it out on the lanai. I brought it in. You're welcome to come by. You can pick it up tonight. I don't sleep. Come by, pick it up whenever. If you want to just come get it in the morning, that's cool too. And he's like, all right, cool. And we'll just come by and pick it up in the morning. I'm like, all right. And then I started getting super jealous. So I'm like, that guy is like 12 hours without his phone. Like, I can't do that. Like, I'm living life wrong.
All I could think about is like, man, that's my two-factor device.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Every time I tell the story, that's the first thing that, like, well, when I'm talking to cybersecurity people, that's the first thing that they go to is they're like, yeah, you can't, how am I going to, two-factor into things? I'm like, right? I mean, I guess you can bust out the YubiKeys, but
nah.
Yeah, still. Wow. Well, all the listeners out there, if you want to send in your disaster stories to us, I don't know where you can send them.
Oh, well, that's easy. Thanks to cloud hosting partners like you all out there, we've got an email address of info@securitywithspirits.com.
Hey, look
Shoot
at
us an
that.
email with your notes and comments, and yeah.
Nice. Do we have a fax?
We do have a fax. It's 555-555-5554.
Oh, isn't that the same as the Ghostbusters fax? How did we get that number?
No.
Who are you gonna call?
Security with spirits. Ah.
Well, thanks everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it, and we hope you join us for the next episode. Until then, I'm Jason.
This has been
Jonathan.
Tony.
Bye.